Hello artists, Mrs. Castle here, and we are going to learn how to make a tint, T-I-N-T, and practice making tints from a darker color and a lighter color. I'm going to go through step by step with the darker color, and then I will go ahead and do the lighter color, and it's exactly the same as the dark color in stepwise. You can just watch and I'll be quiet and just do the painting part. For all of the color practice, color skills, you're going to need a sheet of paper like this. It's a little heavier paper than copy paper and your drawing paper. So there are 15 boxes on here, but we're only going to need 8 of them. So I'm going to draw the box. I probably should have a colored pencil. I'm going to draw a box around 8 of them. And as I said, we're going to practice tints. So put tints on your paper and put your name and your period. Okay. So in the first row, I'm gonna paint with my blue. Other things that you're gonna need is a mixing paper, which will be gray like this, but it'll be laminated, and I'll teach you how to clean those up later, or well, you should have already seen that video if you're painting already. So, and a palette with paint on it, and I'm only gonna start with my blue and my white because that's all I need right now. And notice, as I said in the how to get out paint video, I did not fill up the circle with the paint. So you're gonna need a palette knife, and we use the palette knife to scoop paint onto our mixing paper, and we use the palette knife to mix. And you're also going to need a brush. Some people prefer round brushes, some people prefer flat brushes. You can try out both one at a time. You only need one brush at a time, and decide which one you like best. I tend to like the flat ones better, so I'm gonna use the flat one. And you're also gonna need some paper towel to wipe off your palette knife with, and to get the excess water off your brush when you rinse. So I'll show you how to use that when we get there. So I'm just going to lay that over to the side. And so first, step 1, I'm going to just get a little bit of paint. Notice there's not very much on there. And I'm going to paint the first box blue. And the paint should be sort of on the thick side. You shouldn't be able to see a lot of paper through it. Acrylic is not the same as watercolor, although it is water soluble, which means we can clean it with water while it's wet. And I'm tapping my brush on the bottom of the water container, and then I'm wiping the brush off on the edge. I am not tapping my brush on the side of the container. Okay. Now my brush is really wet still, so I'm gonna just dot it on the paper towel to get the extra water off. Okay, so now I'm gonna use my palette knife, and I'm gonna scoop up some blue. Don't need very much. I'm gonna get just a little tad more. And this time notice there's blue on my brush, on my palette knife. Don't go directly to the white with blue on, with the color on your brush. You're gonna wipe off your palette knife on the paper towel. And, oops, that's a lot of white. I'm just gonna get a little bit of white. That's not very much. And I'm gonna mush the white and the blue together. And I'm trying to kind of scoop it back into a pile. that can be a little tricky sometimes, but it's smearing all over the place. Try not to spread it all over your entire little mixing palette. Okay, and before I do anything else, I'm just gonna wipe this. Notice I am not bunching the paper towel up. Just wipe it off. And then, oops. Okay, you know the paint is mixed thoroughly when you don't see streaks of white and streaks of blue or whatever color you're using. So now I'm going to use my brush and paint the next box. Notice that the color is lighter. That's a tint. When you mix white and any other color, it makes the color lighter. White is not the only way to lighten a color, but that's what we're talking about right now, is using white to lighten a color. I'm going to tap off my excess water. I'm going to get more white, and I'm going to add it to the same pile. Just a little bit, not a lot, like a pencil eraser worth. And I'm going to I'm using the bottom of my palette knife to mush the color around. You don't need the top of it, really. Okay. Yep. I can still see a streak of the darker blue, so I know it's not mixed yet. Okay, now I'm going to wipe off my palette knife before I do anything else and get some paint. Paint my box. So when we're done, you're going to have, notice I'm pulling the paint. I am not going like this. That makes your brush look like it's having a really bad hair day, and your paint is messy. I'm not the neatest painter in the world because I get stuff everywhere, but using your tools properly is part of developing your craft, and this is not using your tools properly. It breaks the bristles in the middle of the brush. Yeah, ruins your brush before it needs to be ruined or, all used up. Okay, I'm going to get about the same amount for my last tint that will go in this box. And technically we could make 15 tints, but we don't have time for that. I just want you to experiment, practice doing it with a couple of colors, with a darker color like blue and a lighter color. Now I'm going to have, that was way too much of either of my colors, so I really could have used less. And I will try to do better with my other color that my lighter color that I'm going to make a tint of, or make tints of. Then paint the last box. And on the laminated paper, your paint will stay wet for a good while. Okay, so now I have my pure color blue and 3 tints. And I'm done with step 1, or part 1. And look how little paint I used. I still have a ton of white left and I have a ton of blue left. Now, before I go on to the next part, what I'm going to do is take another paper towel. I'm just going to get a dab of water on it. It shouldn't be drippy everywhere. And I'm going to wipe this up. And you're going to do this every time you are done painting for the day. You're going to wipe up your paint, and this goes in the trash can. I'm going to take a little break, clean up your palette to get ready for the next color, and then I'll be back in just a minute to just work through the process on my lighter color. All right, I am back, and since I learned from the blue that I didn't need nearly that much blue, I got a lot less orange, my lighter color. So, oops. Step one was to get paint. I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to just do make my 3 tints, and I'm going to speed the video up so you can watch that part or follow along, but pause in between each step, because I'm not going to stop and let you catch up, because I have no idea how long it's going to take you. All right. See you at the end. Okay, that's it. On this assignment, the things I am looking for are how neat are you, how neat is your work? If it was messy to start with, did you get neater as you went along? Is your name on it? Is your period on it? Or do you have the assignment written on it? And did you follow directions? Those are the things that I'm going to be looking for. So, don't forget at the end, when you're done, just get a little dab of water. You don't need a lot. It shouldn't be drippy. I'm not dripping any water. Wipe off your palette. If you have a lot of color that's not dirty, then I'll help put paint back in the container. So, because we don't want to waste paint. All of this gets thrown away in a trash can, and your paint assignment goes on the drying rack. And you should have already seen the video on how to use the drying rack. So that's it, and I will be around to help you if you need help. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.